adopt it and use it. And I believe that's why we are moving to that approach. Because our approach was more of looking at our situation and the issues and developing a policy to suit us. But it's better if you put it within that global context. It's easy to work with others who have also put whatever they are doing in that context. It also provides an A to Z of formulating. It's the easiest way to actually formulate your, because it gives you the step-by-step things that you have to do. All you need to do, get your national context, what are the objectives for doing things, and then you can feed in and you have your policy. And that's what I mean by that. Easily customizable to suit local cyber issues. It's very elaborate and developed strategy fits into the global agenda. I think I've spoken about all that. Of course, this is the guide that I used to develop my presentation. Thank you. Questions, please.
Thank you. Any questions, please? None at all? Okay, now we're going to move on. Oh, sorry.
Okay, you've talked a lot, and there are many things I cannot remember now. But there is one I want clarified. Who are your regulators, or who should the regulators be? That's a question that I would want you to note. Number two, how do you decentralize this cybersecurity thing that you are building? Who do I talk to if I have a cyber attack at KGB Akan, where I was schooled, where I went to primary school? These two questions, if you can give answers, maybe I'll get others for you.
Okay, I think cybersecurity is broad. Everybody is affected in one way or the other. Once you use the internet, you are affected. So his question is, this whole decentralization thing, how can I, in a remote place, be able to have use of whatever things is available for me to use in case I have an attack and I need some remediation? Well, it's difficult, but let me just mention what is being done now, and we'll see if it fits into your process. Now, once upon a time, we didn't have a national cybersecurity center. We had a set in 2014, but the national set's role is clearly defined. It's more about technical response to incidences when they occur. Now, one of the challenges for the set for all this period has been that there was no visibility of the set. In other words, it was there, they were ready to handle incidents, but they didn't even have a budget to make noise for people to know that if you have a problem, if it's child molestation, call this number. The numbers were on the website, but how would you even know? So that was the issue. But thankfully, we developed the policy, and as part of the implementation, one of the key things was the promotion of sectorial sets. Now, what the idea is to set up sector-specific incident response teams so that if, for instance, you are a user on MTN and you have an incident, you can speak to the sector set and your incident will be handled. However, there is also a national incident response platform that has been developed, yet to be launched. And you can actually report all incidents. I know they're going to make a lot of noise and advocacy about that incident platform. So you can report through about 4 or 5 different channels. There's a web form, there is short code. There is a number of things on that platform. And once there's a lot of education, I think anybody in the country will know that if you have a problem, you can report. It has been also incorporated into the child online protection system. UNICEF is working with the center. There is a contact person who sits at the National Cybersecurity Center, and they're trying to develop a link to some global systems for child online reporting. So for instance, with that same portal, you can report child online things. If it's cybercrime issues, you can report it. Right now, it's so disaggregated. You don't even know who to call. If you get cybercrime unit and you call them, you don't even get the response. But now, with the new coming into force of the implementation, they are putting systems behind this reporting. Sometimes you report and okay, we'll get back, and nothing gets happened. It just happens. So those are some of the measures that are taking place. The portal allows everybody in Ghana to call a number or send an email, and they have an automated incident response system that will pick it up and help sort these things out.
Thank you. I have about 3 questions. From where you sit, when will the revised strategy see light? 2, what is delaying the legal framework? You said there's a legislation, is that right? What is delaying the legal framework? And then who is responsible to do that? And then what can civil society do to speed up the process?
Well, I think all the work on this sits with the National Cybersecurity Advisor. He's the principal person, and he's working around the clock to ensure that this policy sees the light of day. One of the things that perhaps has delayed it a bit is to ensure that certain identified institutional stakeholders, especially within certain specific areas, make comments before it becomes public for gatherings like this. So even here we have some institutions that have been given, because of the role they play within, to comment so that they can finalize the drafts before it's brought public. So I believe that maybe pretty soon, once those comments are collated, we have both local and international collaborators who are making this. So hopefully it won't be long before it becomes public. Once it becomes public, it will be on the MOC website. And then we can have meetings like this to look at it collectively and make specific position papers or other things like that. The legislation it's part of the whole process. So the development went alongside with the legislation. And even for the center, it's even urgent for them to have the legislation, because a lot of things they are not able to do because of the lack of the legislation. So for them, it's very crucial, and hopefully we'll see that happening soon. Of course, that one doesn't come for public comments because of some of the issues involved. It's a policy that is, it comes out and everybody can comment on it, okay? But the legislation, I know, is gone to some key institutions to look at, and hopefully we will hear about the passage. Of course, Parliament has its own way to get people to comment on any legislation that comes. So that's the process where we can get to comment on the legislation. But we can't have public comments like we have for this. It follows the normal process for every legislation in the country. What was the last question? Yes, CSO. of course, I mean, specifically, what are we advocating? What are we going to get out of that policy? If we know what we really want out of the policy, we can actually advocate. But it comes with being united, with a voice, you know, because, yeah, you might have one or two CSOs who are already talking and requesting for these things to be sped up, or inclusion of rights. I know that some of the CEOs, like Media Foundation, have made inputs which I've seen reflect in rights and other things. But I think collectively, and I think that's what global partners have been trying to get CSOs to come together as a coalition, and then you can have a better force to bring about some of these things. There is a policy that exists, and that's what they are using. The update perhaps might not be as urgent, and that's why maybe, but if we think it's urgent, we can make a
What prevents you from leading? I mean, Acdro, because you are leading the process. Because I'm talking from the point of like the RTI bill, all right? How the coalition, you know, we want to march, we press the need for it. People, the citizens got to know about it, and they were all crying for it. Yesterday I was in a meeting, and we were talking about the AA bill, the affirmative action bill. We were looking at the other, the disability act as well. But these processes are such that, you know how our governments work. If a government has buy-in into it, and we don't really advocate for it to see light, then government change or whatever it is, then it delays again, you know, like what is happening to.
Ken wants to make some input.
Yes, thank you. So you are very right. I mean, saying why don't we lead? I mean, individually, we've had opportunity, myself and Eric, to make input. And they are supposed to give us, as Acdro, as a stakeholder, a copy. Unfortunately, we didn't get a copy before this, but we were also informed that this is not yet for public. So even if we received it, we can use it for this forum. In fact, that was what we wanted to, that was the main objective for this workshop. So what we plan to do is that we are going to receive it, we are going to look at it as Acdro, we are going to send our comments. But once it becomes public, we are going to put all of you together. We'll get ourselves in a room like this or anywhere, and then we'll discuss so that we can all correlate our views and then push it forward. So individually, we are making input, making sure they're right, but it's important that all of us agree, look at it, and make sure that the interests of the civil society or the citizenry is being captured in there. So once it becomes public, we'll definitely do that. Thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Shall we put our hands together for Mr. Eric? That was an in-depth and informative, very knowledgeable presentation. Eric has been on top of this since inception, so he's an authority. Yeah, so this, because of time, I think we're running out of time. So we are not going to do the breakouts, because the breakout, even though they are the pillars, because we don't have the document, I think it might not be too, if we had a document, at least there will be some write-up under each pillar that we can review. And for the sake, but I wanted to look at it holistically and then tease out, you know, some ideas. But we think we're running out of time. We said we're going to close at 4. So what I want us to do is we're going to open for, we are done with Eric, so we are going to open for your suggestions, recommendations as to next step. What do you think we should do as a group? As a group, how do we come together to forge a very solid coalition, CSO coalition, that we can stand, as my brother just said. If we become one force, then our voice will be heard. I mean, that is how it happens. We know how the ministries work, how the public sector works. If you go as an individual, you might not, they might receive your comments and all that, but it might not go far. So we need to further. But what do you think? We want to tease out, what do you think should be our next steps as a group? Any comments? We have taken the lead by organizing this, but what do you think? What are your interests? What do you want to see happen in the area of the civil society? What do you want to see happen? Or going forward, what do you think we should do so that we become recognized? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I've become the talkative now. My first question is this the entirety of civil society? Because civil society has to take the information out there. And also, civil society has to keep informing us of the gaps. So my question, is this the entirety of civil society in Ghana to take this process out there?
Yes, I think it has to be the entirety of the civil society. Unless what they do has no bearing to do with rights and all that, but at least anybody who has something to do with rights has to be. And of course, we don't know everybody, it's difficult, so as they say, tell somebody to tell somebody. So as you are here, we see you as ambassadors to also, announce it out there, bring the people together, let us all come together. Because it's a solid, I mean, it's happening elsewhere in the jurisdiction, other countries, and they are doing it. And that is the only way we can be well recognized. You see, Eric spoke about the sect. For the sect, we have the national sect. And then under the national sect, we have sectorial sects. You understand? So if there is a threat coming, the national set receive. Maybe it's coming the intel or intelligence information is coming from the US. It comes to the national. The national will pass on to the sectorial sets. We have a sectorial set for the banking sector, financial sector. We have sectorial set for the telecommunication. We have that for the academia. We have that for the... Now, what about us? Don't we have companies? Don't we use computers? Don't we have systems in place? So if there is a hack and you don't receive the hack, are you not going to be affected? So that is why we also have to stand as a coalition, as a body, that we can also represent and also become a sectorial. The last time at our first workshop, I did mention that we need to form a CSO set so that we can also be recognized. You understand? If we were a CSO set, by now we would have been given a copy of the draft, and they will be requesting our comments. But because we are not a recognized entity in the eyes, that is why, they would rather give to individuals who are recognized. So I think it's for all CSO that their work relates to this. I mean, it doesn't matter. Because whether you deal with rights, if you don't deal with rights, cybersecurity might affect you. So it's almost everybody. So if you know somebody, let them come. We have, the last time we had a mailing list for the attendees. If you were here the last time and you don't receive any information unless, then probably your email, you didn't write it well. So please, once we close, please write your names again if you don't have, so that we can add you to the mailing list. What we do is that we send alerts, information, educative informations, and then also threat alerts, so that, we can build our capacity and awareness and all that. So please, and if you know anybody who is not here, please inform them, so that at least next time when we do the workshop, we can invite all of them. Thank you. Doc, Abba answered. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, I think taking off from where my brother ended, it is important that we make a lot of noise, just like what is said on RTI. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we are recognized. And I think without the participation of the media, it will be very, very difficult for us to be heard. If you cast your mind back to RTI, I think Joy FM, City or something, they were at the forefront. So from the start, we need to get one powerful media house or two or three to lead us into this. And I think that it will not be out of place. Even today, we issue a statement, start, talking about what we want to do, so that once we get the media house, we will follow the media house, they will be our lead, and then we'll make a lot of noise. At the same time, trying to bring in those who are not part of the coalition so that we can together, exert a lot of pressure on whoever the government organizations or the agency who are in charge of this bill, so that whatever contributions that we have, we can be heard. So I think it's very, very important that we get a very powerful media house to support us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's a brilliant idea. Okay, yes, I'll be with you in a second. That's a brilliant idea. We are in a very good position when it comes to, as compared to the RTI, that's different. But for the cybersecurity, fortunately, Eric was the lead guy and myself as part of the team that developed the strategy and implementation. So we had already incorporated, rights kind of into it. And then, fortunately for me, I was also the lead person representing government on, they have something they call Freedom Online Coalition. That is a group of government, coalition of governments that think that, look, it is important that the rights of the citizens are recognized, online. So they have come together, and I happen to lead. So we had that at the back of our mind when we were developing this, and all was captured in there. So when, the new cybersecurity advisor took over, they were just taking what we had done and then building upon it. So already there is that civil society aspect in there. But we still want to make sure that, look, it's captured everything is in there. That's why. So we don't really have a problem. That is why now they've sent copies to MF Media Foundation for West Africa, and a couple of civil society organizations, including us, because they recognize us. So now I would say there wouldn't be the need now to go out and make noise because they are cooperating with us. Yeah. So let's wait for it to be public, and then let's gather again and then critically have a look at it, and then see if all the civil society aspects has been captured in it, and then we can go. But like you are saying, you are very right. If we are able to form that strong coalition, because you never know what will happen. We might get up tomorrow and the internet is shut down. We might get up tomorrow and WhatsApp is shut down. So we don't have to, when I was doing my presentation, I spoke about the fact that we have to be proactive. Cyber, you are being defense. You don't have to wait till it happens. So let's form and get ourselves ready so that we can be recognized. Because now they don't recognize, they know we exist, but they recognize individual, and that's not what we are looking for. We want all of us to be part, and then thank you so much. Eric, you want to make it? Okay.
I was going to say it's very nice with all the media, for media representation and everything, but I don't really understand what we really want. I'm saying this because, are you talking of a network, something that is institutionalized? For instance, you want to issue a statement. Where is it coming from? Who is signing? Who is doing what? I know Acdro is a lead organization, but even if you want to form like an alliance for, they have a lot of a lot of coalition, but at least they have. Recently, when something happened in Parliament, I think they had a body. They had maybe an interim executive or something. So I think something, a network sort of, or coalition or whatever, within this group, just something, somebody leading us. And I don't know exactly what you have in mind. Is it going to be a registered organization, maybe with a letterhead, a non-profit? What exactly are we looking at? Or is it just a loose coalition of this? Because I'm sure there are a lot of reps here. There are people leading organization. So we can just make a few selection, maybe 4 or 5 people, just an interim listing. They sit down and draw up something. Maybe this is where we want to go, maybe a network, an organization, an alliance, whatever we want to. So I think it must be more concretized than maybe a loose association. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very, very much. That was a brilliant input. So you are very right. What we want to set up is a coalition or network, whatever you call it. But until we all come together, we cannot, when we come together, we will make the decision. Look, either we're going to do elections. Certainly we will have appoint, president, and like the telecom chamber. It's a group of telecom mobile networks who came together and they formed their chamber. They appointed a CEO who is independent of them and running. The ICT people to say, ISP, they say, we are also coming. We also have an ICT. They also set up. So first, we need to come together. For now, interim or ad hoc, Acdro is leading. I mean, we are trying to make sure. But once we all come together, we will have to sit down and put the proper, I mean, this is their best practice, been done somewhere else. So we'll have to sit down and then make sure it is well recognized, whether we are registering or not. But the important thing now is how to get at the people. That's the most difficult aspect. How to get the people, get all that, the contacts, and that is the most difficult. So if you can all help us, somebody you don't know, I mean, try and participate. And then once we set the mailing list, that's where we start from. Once we are all, we will meet. We can have some meeting, either a weekend, either an evening, and then we'll start it from there. But certainly, once it's a network or a coalition, we'll definitely have to be, have a kind of a leader, a board, a member, or whatever, yeah. I'm sure most of you here are experts. Yes, did you want to ask it? She lifted, I'll come back to you. Okay, before you lose your...
I think this is very similar to our cries for independence. Some people said independence now. Others too said, oh, gradual. I think you are advocating for the gradual approach. I see a commitment for us to get together and do something. So if we continue to postpone, we can't get everybody. It can even take 5 institutions who agree to work together. Let's start as a nucleus and then grow that thing. I mean, that's what I think. I believe that we can even issue a communique from here. Everybody who is here, we can issue a communique and say that at this meeting, these are the things that came out, and so we want to engage with. We're not, it's not confrontational. We are just making our presence felt, that we are forming this coalition and we expect the National Cybersecurity to engage with us as a group. It's more powerful. If we just go individual, yes, divide and rule. We won't get there. We'll keep postponing. So, Mr. Executive Director, I think that we should have independence now.
I concur with that. Is there a good... Yes, I'll come to Ma'am. That's what you're good. Okay, so please make sure you get your name, your email written well, and your WhatsApp number. We'll set up a WhatsApp group so that we can start the communications now effectively, and then let's see what we can do. I'm sure we have the desire, and if we are one body, even external partners who want to help us, if we have a need, maybe capacity, they'll be willing to come. But if they ask me how many CSOs, I don't even know. And nobody will want to work with an ad hoc kind of. So let's get it done. Okay, Madam, I'll come back. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Madam, it will come back to you shortly. Yeah, I agree with what has just been said. We don't need everybody. It needs just a committed few, and it can grow from there. I think the focus should be who are we here? What are our capacities? We are not a homogeneous group as CSOs. We all have our different areas. So I think the most important thing is to get to know who we are so that we can work well and do not duplicate, activities and such things like that. I'm from FIDA, International Federation of Women Lawyers. We are into women's rights, and we know that with cyber, women's rights are major and has been quite topical lately. We can also bring some expertise to bear there. I know we've heard about children's rights. I've seen my sister who wanted to talk. I know she's in the rights arena. So we are different people with different capacities. It's important to know who we are, what we do, so that we can work well as a coalition.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So I think we are all on the same page. So we will, okay, somebody is taking. So we will develop, once we're able to set up the WhatsApp group and then an email, we will develop a form. We'll send it around so that at least you can fill, just to know what your organization is, what you do, so that we'll be able to, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you so much for the contribution.
I just want to add to what they've said already, that we should create a link, and then we should send it to everybody. So when we feel, we can also send the same links to other people. For instance, for me, when my sister was talking about the issues about women rights, we are just form a coalition on affirmative action for affirmative action coalition in Ghana. We've been chasing this issue about affirmative action bill. We want to pass for a long time. It hasn't gone. So just one person got up and said, look, we want to form a coalition around this issue. And I think so far we have more than 50 people in this group within 3 days that because once the link was created, we also send it to other platforms and people are joining as we go. But then, so let's create a link, and then we circulate the link, starting with those of us who are here. We also forward it to other people, other groups. But I also think that there may be some people here who don't belong to any specific group, organization, but they are human rights activists. They are passionate about these issues. So maybe we should look at the 2 levels, the institutional representation and the individual representation, so that no one is left out. And remember, we are all here. I agree with him that I was here the last time. And then I mean, time is money. We spent 2 days here. And then I was asking myself, why should I come here again when I have so much work to do? It's because we are all passionate about this. So we want to see it move forward.
Wonderful contribution. Madam is already in the digital world. So we should create the link and send them. People will feel online. Powerful. So, Madam, we'll do that. That was a great contribution. Anyone else? Contribution. And the good thing is that you might be working in a particular focus area, and you'll be amazed that there is somebody in here who is, doing around the same. So there is also that collaboration and networking, even networking within the CSO coalition. So I think it's good. So as Madam said, if the person is an individual and is a human rights, you don't need to be a company. You can just be an individual who is passionate about civil society or civil rights. You can also be part. Once we all come together, then we'll put the measures or the framework together, and we'll see how we can move forward. Thank you so much. Any more? Madam Leah, you want to make some comment? Expert? They say they haven't heard your voice. Hmm? No? Are we in the right direction? Prof. Okay, so powerful. So they want us to they want us to take charge as former president or ex-president Barack Obama said. He said we should own our institutions, right? Yeah, so we have to own it. So that's why they are just observing and making sure that we are doing the right thing. All right. No questions, no contribution? Okay. We'll let the chairman just give his closing remarks and we'll draw the curtain down.
Ladies and gentlemen, overall, I've enjoyed the session today. We've had very fruitful discussions, and the contributions have also been very, very cogent, straight to the point. I like the end state of our today's meeting, which is everyone around the table here is asking for action now, and not a gradual process, as you made reference to when we're seeking for independence. There were two groups of people. They said they wanted independence now, and another group, I think the Casablanca group or so, said we should go it gradual. We have decided that we want a coalition now. Civil society organizations must come together now and make an impact in the cybersecurity strategy and policy implementation that we are about to take off. We must make our presence felt now and not defer it into any future event or time. So, two suggestions I've put behind my cranial. One is to create a name for the coalition you want to form. Either it's going to be civil society coalition or some other name. Second, to create a WhatsApp group as soon as possible by which we can be communicating among ourselves, sharing information, and so on and so forth. So I want to thank the organizers for bringing all of us together today to be thinking about all these strategies and policies. And those of us who don't live here in Ghana and will be traveling, I understand some people are traveling even tonight. I wish you a safe journey back to your final destinations. And I hope that no sooner than now we will be meeting again. And the next time we'll be meeting with a clear-cut name. And we'll be meeting to come and report that we have made an impact in the cybersecurity strategy and policy development and implementation process for Ghana. Thank you all very much.
Yes. Yeah, but don't, okay. All right, so we'll invite our biggest partner and actually funder of this project together with the Foreign Commonwealth Office. I always forget that. For the UK government, for Ms. Leah Caspar, Executive Director, GPD.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. I'm going to keep it very short, just to share a couple of thank yous and kind of top-level reflections. Just on behalf of Global Partners Digital and myself, I'd just like to thank first of all, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office for their support for these efforts and for the project. Then I'd like to thank the Acdro team, Ken, Eric, and the Honorable Chairman, Ambassador. Thank you very much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you here. I also want to thank Daniela here and my GPD team back home who couldn't be here with us. And last but not least, like all of you for, inviting us and sharing and being engaged in this conversation. On our side, we're very excited and honored to be able to support this work. We look forward to what happens next. I think that's what's going to be the kind of, how they say in the UK, the proof is in the pudding, which basically means it's what's happens next is what matters. And I think we've set the basis. This is now the second workshop, but it will really be the proof of all the efforts and the evidence of what you've done here will be once the draft strategy is out, and then the input into the strategy, and following that the engagement in the implementation of the cybersecurity efforts to build capacities in Ghana. I think we look forward to next steps. There will be a number of opportunities to do that. We know that there is an October Cybersecurity Awareness Month coming up in Ghana, so we might see you there. And as well as we're aware that Ghana is currently chairing the Freedom Online Coalition, and we know there's going to be a Freedom Online conference set to take place next year in February here in Accra. So yes, absolutely, we're very much honored to be able to keep supporting a value-based and inclusive approach to cybersecurity capacity building in Ghana, and I'll end on that note. So thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you so very, very much. And on behalf of the Acdro team and all the participants here in Gathered, we also want to extend our sincere thanks and appreciation first to the chairman for your able chairmanship for this conference, and to GPD, our partners, for supporting us to make sure this happens. This is the second time and we don't take it lightly at all. So we are going to really build upon this to make sure that the next time you meet us will be a whole recognized CSO that is ready to move the rights of the citizens forward. So thank you so much. So as Leah mentioned, if we are able to really establish ourselves, we'll always take advantages of workshops and conferences that takes place here, and then we'll also do our side workshop. Usually when there is a general workshop, different organizations take the opportunity, and then they also organize a prayer conference or a prayer workshop. And so let's make sure that this works so that we can stand tall. And I'm sure there are a lot of opportunities out there that, I can't just list, but we have to do the first things first, and we'll take it from there. So once again, thank you all so much for, Mr. Eric, you have anything to say? My able, please, can you put your hands together for Ms. Vera? She's the program manager. In fact, she put all these things together. Myself and Eric, we just came today we just came here to, talk. But such people, they don't want to be, they also want to hide behind the scene, and they are working. So, Vera, we are so grateful, and we are happy that you are part of us. Thank you so much. So all of you, thank you so much. Extend our appreciation to your bosses who were not here, that we are so grateful that he made time to release you guys, even though they were not here, to allow you guys to be part of this very important workshop. And we look forward for the next workshop, and also immediate actions that we have. The chairman just outlined that we'll take quick actions and make sure it works. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. Have a safe drive and those that are flying back home. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Don't know what to do with their lives. So I thought there should be a way out of getting these people to, change their lifestyles so that they become better people. And we also need the security people, to a large extent, to help us get the minds of these people. And so that, look, in the developed world, there are many people who do so many good things. But I think in the developing world, we have poorer people who will be more willing to do worse things or bad things. So we need to get the capacity of our people to be better human beings so that we get them to do good things. Particularly, I also want the skills level improved for our people so that they use their knowledge, skills, and expertise to do better things, so that they don't make the world a worse place, but they make the world a better place, particularly for we in the developing countries. Because if we miss this opportunity of not making Africa a better place, then we are doomed for domination by the outside world. That's what I feel. I've spoken too much? Have I talked too much?
Yeah, so
yes.
Do you think there is future for those who want to learn something about cyber? There's
Sure.
future for them. What is your take on that?
Sure, there is future, because if people are developing, tools to do bad things in the cyber world, there is a lot of future for people who would develop tools to counteract what the bad people have been doing. And this is a lot of money. We all learned from the, some of the presentations that it's a lot of money out there when people go to do bad things in cyberspace. So many companies will be willing to pay good money for, the tools that secure their cyber environments. And I think we would need people along those lines. In that sect, we would need people to develop, we need people who can do hackathons. It's a skill out there to find out whether systems are secure. And when you get people to find out the security of systems, they are training themselves to know how to secure systems. Yes, so we need more of such people.
Let's think about the online space as an extension of the offline space. And if you think about cyberspace as just a different side of what already exists in the real world, obviously there are going to be risks inherent with it. Basically, pretty much everything that you can do offline, soon you will be able to do online. And then looking further down the line, that will only increase with the Internet of Things and kind of the proliferation of 5G and new technologies. That will only exponentiate itself. What is important, though, is not to get sucked into this threat scenario and not to only think about the risks. I think it's important to address the threats that are inherent in a digital environment effectively. That's absolutely crucial. We just talked about this in the workshop today, how cybersecurity is really important for us to be able to enjoy our rights, but also to do financial transactions, to do a number of things that we just used to do offline. What we need to be careful, though, is that in doing so, we do not further restrict rights. And I think the way to do that, just very practically, is to ensure that we see the online space as an enabler of rights and as a space for opportunity. The only other thing that I would say there is that for us to be able to ensure that that happens, and then we get to a cyberspace that is both secure but also free and open, is to involve different stakeholders in the conversation. That's the only way that we can create a social contract that everyone's comfortable with.
Okay, so is there a future for people who want to pursue a career in cyber?
Oh my God, absolutely, absolutely. Not just in cybersecurity, but anything to do with digital technology. I can tell you, when I joined the field 10 years ago, it was completely different, and there were. Cybersecurity was a marginal issue on the policy agenda, and these days everyone is talking about it. And that's only on the policy side, so I work on the policy side of things. But you can imagine everyone who's involved in the sector, who creates technologies, who works in producing products and services related to digital tech. And that's been happening around the world, but also in Africa. We know that the penetration rates are growing rapidly, and with new technologies, that's only going to increase and increase more rapidly. So I would say absolutely, and encourage people to consider, if they're thinking about education, to think about STEM and think about how they can find their space in this field. There's nothing that we have in the offline world that is not being affected by digital technology. So whatever you're interested in, there will be a space for you to do that also in the online world.